If you're looking to buy a new monitor for gaming, then there's a ton of choices out there. In fact, you could argue there's too much choice, with different sizes, resolutions, refresh rates, panel types, response time, sync technologies, connections, and of course price. So what are you actually meant to do? What do you spend your cold hard cash on? Well, everyone is a bit different, so there's no clear-cut answer. But at the end of this video, hopefully you'll have a better understanding as to what's right specifically for you, because there is no one monitor that is perfect for everyone. And I kind of feel like it's a point that needs to be addressed, especially with so many factors being added in. So we've teamed up with Iyama, who sent over 3 models of monitors aimed at giving you the very best gaming experience, each with their own slight differences. So let's see what's right for you and break it down into sections, starting with panel size. Long gone are the days of smaller monitors, with the price of larger 27-inch and above monitors coming down in price quite dramatically. And with 27 and 32-inch becoming more popular, really this comes down to personal preference and what fits into your budget, as well as what fits on your desk. Setup dependent, some people aren't keen on huge monitors if they're confined to under the stairs, whereas if space is in abundance, you may want to simply go all out. Budget permitting, of course. Now, likely the most important part of buying a monitor is going to come down to resolution. Do you go for 1920 by 1080 or 2560 by 1440? Or maybe something a bit more exotic, like 3440 by 1440? Well, a lot of this comes down to the individual, the games they play, and if they need their PC for anything other than gaming. With 1080p still being the dominant resolution on the Steam hardware survey, it definitely offers up the best value for money and is, of course, the easiest resolution to drive from a PC hardware point of view. Whether you have a shiny new GPU or something older, it doesn't need to be stupidly high-end to power the amount of pixels that a 1920 by 1080 resolution requires. If, however, you do have a more powerful system, including a more powerful GPU, you may want to look at going a little bigger in terms of resolutions, while keeping the same 27-inch form factor, essentially cramming more pixels into the same area and consequently giving you more clarity. And with the cost of monitors being driven down, 2560 by 1440 is becoming more popular as of late. Having both extra width and height can do wonders, not only for gaming, but also giving you extra screen real estate too for productivity-based tasks. What if you want something more though? What if a 16:9 aspect ratio monitor is nice, but you've seen those setups with ultra-wide screens on them and instantly wanted one? Well, 21:9 aspect ratio monitors have also become even more popular in the last year for a variety of reasons. Firstly, you're able to push more pixels with a resolution like 3440 by 1440, while also getting a sleek look that would make any setup look amazing, and without getting too large overall. Also, if you've never played a game on an ultra wide and you have the opportunity to try it out, do it. I think it's safe to say you'll never look back. Now, aside from resolution, there are other parts that make up clarity on a screen, and that comes down to brightness, colors, and contrast. And most of this is dictated by the panel type. Different panels have different pros and cons and come in with different price types. You've probably heard people refer to their monitor as having a TN panel or VA or IPS or some other derivative of IPS. And it can all get very confusing. But to break it down quite simply, the most common type is TN or Twisted Pneumatic, which sounds a lot more extreme than it is. TN panels are typically the most affordable, have the fastest response time, and support faster refresh rates, which I'll talk about shortly, but they also don't offer as clear a picture or as richer colours as other types. The other option is VA or vertical alignment panels, which offer up much better viewing angles and greater colour representation, and now have the ability to reach lower response times and faster refresh rates. But again, I'll come to that in a little bit. The last big panel type is IPS, which stands for in-plane switching. These typically offer the most detailed image with the sharpest and most vibrant colours, and are the most popular with gamers, especially now as faster refresh rates and lower response times are possible. But it will cost you a little more over other panel types. Panel types typically come down to what you're after and what your budget allows. Though typically speaking, both gamers and professionals who work with colour grading will want an IPS panel. Though if you can't afford it, then VA is the next best thing. So I mentioned response time, but what is it and what does it mean for me as a gamer? In short, there are various ways to measure response time, including the time taken to shift from one colour to another, such as grey to grey or GTG, or MPRT or moving picture response time. Now MPRT measures how long a pixel is continuously visible for and is also known as display persistence. With monitor refresh rates getting faster, it's the easiest way to compare monitors based on the perceived measure of blurring in terms of the human eye. So refresh rates, this is the big one, as you've probably heard pro gamers talking about fast refresh rates and how it makes them a better gamer overall and how you want in on the action, but have frankly no idea what it actually means. Well, the simplest way to define it is that it's the number of times per second that the screen refreshes the image displayed on it. And in the case of monitors, the higher the number, the more times per second the monitor refreshes that image, and it's measured in hertz. If you're wanting to experience games at a higher refresh rate, the monitor is one part of it, but you'll also need to make sure you have a GPU that's powerful enough to handle it too. Otherwise, your efforts might be completely wasted. So if you're looking at a 144Hz monitor, that means the display is capable of refreshing the image 144 times per second. If you're looking at a 165Hz monitor, it can do it at 165 times per second. Simply put, the higher the refresh rate, the smoother the gameplay. And that's why pro gamers rely on it so much, as it allows you to see more clearly and can be the difference in fast-paced games between getting a kill or in some cases, not. Now, having a fast monitor is great and can lead to buttery smooth gameplay, but one thing that's typical for a lot of fast-paced gamers is screen tearing, which is where your game frame rate and the refresh rate of your monitor simply don't match up. Basically, two images from different frames are shown between the time it takes for the monitor to actually refresh. This is actually typical on higher end graphics cards that are able to render at much higher frame rates than the monitor can typically handle. First world problems, right? Now, in the past, VSync was an option, which does a great job at slowing the render performance of your GPU down to match the monitor's refresh rate. But the drawback is in part of the game where the GPU performance is lower than the refresh rate of the monitor, you'll find some gremlins appear in the way of lag and stuttering. To combat this, technologies like FreeSync from AMD have come in to save the day, which allows the GPU and the monitor to communicate directly to make sure that one frame and only one frame is on the screen at any one given time. Also, as the name suggests, free, unlike Nvidia's hardware-based G-Sync solution. Now, above FreeSync, you may have heard of FreeSync Premium, and above that, FreeSync Premium Pro, and these offer even more. FreeSync Premium automatically suggests that a cost is involved, but it's not, as it's still based on the open source Adaptive Sync protocol, but works on refresh rates above 120Hz, and also offers low frame rate compensation, which, as the name suggests, will change the monitor's refresh rate to compensate for FPS drops, but will keep a consistent ratio. A bit like how you'd keep a shutter speed as double the frame rate on a camera. Simple stuff. Then above this is FreeSync Premium Pro. You may remember it being called FreeSync 2 HDR, and essentially is aimed at that, those who want to play with HDR enabled. And with visual effects like ray tracing becoming more common, playing with that enabled along with HDR and FreeSync Premium Pro is an absolute beauty to see. So with the education out the way, you should now be armed with all the information you need to have a rough idea on what you want from a monitor in terms of size, resolution, refresh rate, response time, panel type, and what kind of synchronous technology is right for you. And that's all generally reflected in the budget. The other big thing is immersion, and this really comes down to personal preference. Whether you want higher pixel density in terms of a larger resolution, whether you want HDR to give you those strong, vibrant colours, and if you want a suitable panel type that can really make things pop with sheer clarity. But something else comes down to curvature. Over the last couple of years, curved monitors have become more and more popular, and the likes of the GB2766HSU offers you that level of immersion through its 1500R design, while still remaining comfortable and giving you a ton of other features too. The beauty is, there's no compromise like you used to get. So I said at the start, there's no one monitor that's right for everyone, especially when it comes to fast-paced gaming. And that's part of the reason why I have 3 models of monitor from Iyama, all with slight differences. a 1080p 165Hz curved monitor with a VA panel and FreeSync Premium for that happy balance of getting the very best features for your money and without needing the latest graphics card just to power it. And if you're playing kind of fast-paced FPS games and don't want to sacrifice features and still have some money left over, then something like the GB2766HSU is definitely something that ticks all the right boxes. But what if you want a little bit more? Maybe you want that faster 165Hz refresh rate, but you already have a beefy GPU that can handle the frames and can do it at a higher resolution. Well, that's where the GB2770QSU comes in, with its 1440p resolution, lightning fast 0.5 millisecond MPRT response time, and FreeSync Premium Pro is, frankly, a no-brainer. With its IPS panel, even outside of gaming, you're left with tons of desktop real estate, and the likes of movies look absolutely stunning too. But what if you want to go the whole hog? You want something fast, and you keep seeing people talk about ultra-wide monitors, and you want in on the action. And your PC is ready for the task too. This is what you want. The GB3461WQSU. It's frankly the daddy. 3440 by 1440, IPS, 144Hz, 1 millisecond response time, and FreeSync Premium. If you could have a wish list for everything you'd want in a monitor, I'm pretty sure this would be it. Taking immersion to the next level through its 21:9 aspect ratio, as well as that crystal clear IPS panel displaying stunning visuals in the brightest and crispest way possible, and still being super fast with no screen tearing at all. The other team simply won't know what's hit them. And that's where fast-paced monitors come in. They give you the upper hand in gaming, that sort of slight edge, because you can literally see so much more and so much faster. And that will give you the smoothest gameplay experience possible. Now, I can't lie and say which one is right for you, because each monitor here has a different audience and different budget and rely on the rest of your system to make the most out of them. But I think it's plain to see that the G Master Red Eagle range from Iyama has something for everyone. The only question I have now is, what one are you going to pick up? And if you've never played on a higher refresh rate monitor and have the chance to potentially go into your local store or around a friend's house and actually experience it firsthand, I'll be honest with you, you'll never look back. Me personally, I can never go back to a 60Hz monitor. It just doesn't feel right. So tell me, out of the three, which one are you picking up? And with that, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know exactly what to do, and full details on all these monitors are going to be linked down below. And I will see you in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.